Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Malikicowtipper going to bring you another game of StarCraft 2, and today my opponent is Applecup. So I'm kind of hoping that, I really don't know what to hope, from somebody named Applecup. I mean, is it like a cup full of applesauce? I mean, I honestly can't hear the word cup and have it, in any way related to the internet and not think of something which I'm sure all of you guys are now thinking of. But anyway, Applecup is spawning as the blue Terran in the lower right quadrant of the map, and I'm spawning as the red Zerg in the upper right quadrant of the map. So I do really enjoy this map. Very nice, open, even if you are technically like close position to your opponent on this map. Not the closest air distance in the world, so you don't see a lot of shenanigans, but on the flip side, there's a lot of avenues of attack. There's two direct ramps, which can lead right into your bases, which is kind of interesting, and then your next most logical expand, especially with these spawn positions, is actually right out over here. So for a Zerg, that means to properly defend it, you need Overlord spread, you need Creep spread, but what is kind of nice is that this map almost always encourages nice, long macro games. I feel like if anybody attempts to cheese on this map, they must really not want to play you, because this is just one of the best maps for good old-fashioned long slugfests. So checking this out, I am going to choose the right direction to go with my drone and get my good scout, get my scout off, which is always awesome, just getting the scout all over the place. So awesome. We can see right here that worker tagging my drone. My drone's going to be all like, oh no dude, you're not going to do that. And this worker's going to come out over here. Now this is kind of interesting. I'm going to get really greedy right here. I'm going to try to kill this SCV, and I'm going to get him down to... Oh no, you're not attacking the right thing. Yeah. Why are you doing that? And you can see I'm going to swing back around here and explode. That's gross. So, due to my carelessness and my greed, Applecup has denied me any of my scouting information. I have no clue what's going on. So at this point, I'm just going to blind expand into, no hatch, fast expand, and just kind of see where the game takes me. The one thing... Oh, that's my text ringtone. It's Old Spice. Old Spice is so awesome. It's so cool. But anyway, I'm very, very happy that he is not going for any type of proxy racks or, early Marine push, and I'm happy that he's not scouting in the right direction, so he's not going to know just how vulnerable I am at this point in the game. He might be thinking that I was coming from over here just because I send my scouts out pretty darn early, and I tend to micro them a lot, or at least attempt to, and they don't die wherever your bloodstain went, and that helps me kind of get a feel for what they're doing. It really helps me plan out my build. I really accommodate my build to what I see from my opponents, so very rarely do I go into a game and say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this. I have a couple different builds that I like to run with, and once I kind of have a feel for what the opponent's doing, that's what I'll go. So if I was in the base and checking this out, I would see that he is going for double gas, which, if he's going double gas, that almost has to mean that he's going for some type of extremely fast reactor Hellion, or I would say double Banshee play would be my best guess, and I know what happens, so I'm not going to tell you guys. But for myself, it's really going to be crucial that I get this Overlord into the base. So if we see here this Overlord, he's going to take a sweet-ass time. He's eventually going to get over here. He's going to get me my scout, and I just don't think it's going to be there in time. It's already 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, and usually you want that Overlord, to be flying through the enemy base right at around the 5 to 5:30 mark. That way you can actually know what they're going to do. If they deny your scout, that's really the best option that you have for getting into the base. So, checking out the production, I have Double Queen coming out. He has a Marine and an SCV, just reading to you guys at this point. You can see that we're both even at 19 out of 19 Harvesters. I'm going to get a free kill here. And the cool thing is he doesn't really see anything. Applecup, he knows that I've expanded, but he has not seen any of my tech, so as far as he's concerned, I don't even have a spawning pool out, which is kind of cool. So speed is on its way, and let's just check out the APM from both of us. You can see really quite lazy in the early part of the game, and they redid the APM, where I don't think it registers quite the same as it did before, and I know myself right here, I was sitting around and I was just taking a second to try to, I was waiting to see what would happen when I got up here with these lings, and I was floating larva. So if we check this out, we can see that I'm going into his base. I'm going to see the Marines, the barracks, and I'm going to see a complete wall off without an expand. So right now I'm thinking, what are you doing? It's got to be something tricky inside of the base. So if we check it out, I have an evolution chamber going down right away. I will be building spore crawlers, hopefully right after the evo chamber. I have 2 spine crawlers coming up, so for myself, kind of scratching in the back of my head, I'm saying these are the possibilities that he could be going with. If he has not expanded here, it is possible that he's taken a pocket expand over here, but he has not, and it is possible that he's expanded out over here, but highly unlikely just because of how vulnerable it would be. So I'm doing everything I can to try to prepare for what I am assuming is some type of one-base cheese play. So going back to the production tab, we'll see that he has Siege Tech on the way, Personal Cloaking Field, and his first Banshee coming out. So kind of a 1-1-1 build. For what he did, he got a lot of gas very, very quick, and the only thing I can assume was to get Siege Tech out, to get Cloaking Field out, and I've just got to think that if, you're going to sit on this one base thing for so long, that's very, very old school Terran gameplay. I haven't seen anybody do this on ladder in quite some time. We can see he is building the command center inside of the base, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, so he's going to expand behind his pressure, but there's really nothing that would have stopped him from going out and landing that expansion. My Zergling would have seen it, and over here, he's just kind of chilling. So right here, I am going to take some drone kills from this Banshee, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay down 2 different Spore Crawlers, and he's actually going to manage to out-DP... No, he stops. He stops shooting at it, and he's probably not going to be able to out-DPS it anymore. It's just too far along, and at this point, I have 2 Spore Crawlers up in my main base, and he's going to fire at that Spine Crawler, which is more or less just worthless. I've got a Queen up here. This Banshee's days are numbered. There's just not much he can do, but he did manage to grab 11 kills, so my reaction time was definitely delayed. We can see that he killed quite a few of my Harvesters. We have 2 Banshees now with Cloak coming in, and again, this Spore Crawler just really going to deny a lot of the shenanigans. And right here, the Spore Crawler, good position. He has to fly way around. The Banshees at this point are pretty much shut down. There's just not much that he can do with them anymore. Now, he can use them for map control and to deny my other bases. And by doing that, he's going to force me pretty much to go right into a Spire, which is something that, I might not want to do at this point in the game. So if we take a look at this, I'm getting a Baneling Nest, and this Baneling Nest is purely defensive. I've seen a lot of Terran follow up unsuccessful Banshee harasses with, mass Marine with Stim. And it's just one of those things that you really don't always see coming, and 20 Marines outside of your base can happen very quickly, especially if there's a couple barracks with reactors. And for myself, if we take a look at my vision, I know that he was building these barracks. That's cool, because my Overlord was able to fly in there before it got all shot up, and I have a Zergling here to kind of warn me about any type of movement coming out from his base. But I think you can kind of understand why that Baneling Nest would come up, and why I want to have a few lings here, that way I can defend Creep Spread. Starting to take off, but it's running a little slow right now. I kind of suck dick at Creep Spread. This Spore Crawler was put here simply to prevent a Banshee from kind of flying in between the two and just raping, yes, that's the word I decided to use, all of my drones. I have a second Queen here, I have a second Evo Chamber because I want to start to get those upgrades rocking and rolling. I'm going to be sending out this drone, and these Banshees, man, they're just going to scout the map, and there's just nothing I can do to stop them at this point in the game. In my main base, they're not going to do too much anymore. These Spore Crawlers pretty much have them shut down. But for map control, I can get Creep Spread and I can get Queens, but it's one of those things where until I destroy these rocks, I can't get the Queens over there fast enough. So these Banshees can effectively deny any type of third base on my part. We can see that his Orbital Command is now down. He's going to be starting to make units on it. He's sending out an SCV, I'm not quite what sure for, and he's really just kind of turtling behind his siege tanks. His Marines right now, they do not have stim, they do not have combat shield. I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to do with that. He has 3 barracks with reactors on them, but no, there is the tech lab. Come on, buddy, let's get those upgrades. Let's get rocking and rolling on those. And I think he has the tech. I think he has the gas to be able to do it right now. I'm not quite sure what else he would want to spend those on aside from more siege tanks. It really looks like he just wants to build a bunch of siege tanks and not allow me to do anything. So my hatchery is about 2/3 of the way up. And what unfortunately is going to happen here is these Banshees are going to come swinging around and find this hatchery maybe about 10 seconds after it finishes. And we can see I'm starting to work on these rocks, but these lings just have terrible, terrible DPS on them. And I'm going to see these Banshees coming through. This Queen is probably going to get picked off. She, cloaks, and they're just going to explode her. That's not pretty. And the hatchery just finishes. There's nothing I can do at this point to save that hatchery. I have 1 Queen over here, 1 Queen over here, but they just can't get over there quick enough. And it's going to have to be sacrificed. So my Spire is not quite finished yet. The mutas will not be out in time. The only real thing that they're going to be able to do for me at this point is fly out and effectively stop the Banshees from any type of shenanigans that they're doing. So if we check out the income right now, we can see he's only at 28 workers. He must be relying almost solely on mules to give him minerals that he needs, and his saturation in his main base is very, very low. His saturation over here is also quite low. So I've seen a couple Terran on ladder do this, and I don't know if it's just because they're not good players, but this guy has almost 800 wins to his name. Or is that league gameplays? I can't remember. But realistically, he has enough games played where he should know to saturate better than this. And I think one of the only reasons why he's actually not, doesn't have double the army that he has right now and possibly winning this game is because his saturation is just kind of poor. And I think that's because he's went for so much tech so quick. I mean, before this base was even on the ground, he had 3 barracks with reactors, he had factories up, starports, he had siege tech on the way, so I think he sacrificed his economy. Check this out, he has so much gas right now, and he has so few minerals. This is the opposite of what Terran need. So I guess I just do not get that gameplay at all. You can see those Banshees cloaking, they're going to get away, and the one thing I can do is position Overlords over these expansions, put a few mutas over there, basically to stop this. So I would say for now, the twilight of the Banshee is here. 3 kills, 13 kills, 7 kills. Was it worth it? Was it worth all that quick tech to get to that? I'm not really sure. If we take a look at the units lost right now, we can see that I've lost substantially more than him. I think he's only lost like 2 workers, but my income right now is just miles and miles ahead of him. We can see that he's now building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... Yeah, he's building so many missile turrets all simultaneously, and that's all minerals spent, and that's so much lost mining time right there. And for myself, we go to the production right now. I really don't have an intention of producing another Mutalisk. These Mutalisks are simply to give me a little bit of map control and to scare those Banshees away. My creep spread is starting to approach the middle of the map. And realistically, we're both just falling into more of a macro game at this point. We can see that he's getting ground armor level 1, he's finally getting his combat shield. Did he ever get stim? He does have stim, that's a good thing. He does not have +1 weapons, so not, losing the upgrade war to me a little bit, but I have not yet started my 2-2. I'm getting my hive down, so now that I have my 3rd base, and I'm going to be able to start mining off of that very, very soon. See, I have 62 harvesters. Hopefully some of those harvesters are going to be being migrated. There we go. Awesome. Fun time. So he has to do something with these troops. He invested all that early money in building these defensive troops, and without doing anything, he really won't stand too much of a chance of being able to come back and win this particular game. And at this point, I did struggle as to whether or not I should cast this particular game, just because when I did pre-screen this particular replay just because something felt off about the game, but looking at it now, in retrospect, I think it's kind of an example of, a build that just doesn't work. The intended purpose of this build, I really have to think, was to turtle up and defend my base from a Zergling counterattack that was forced by the Banshees. I think my opponent is very, very used to ending the game with that type of play, and it's one of those things where I have lost games, and I've seen other people lose games where they get hit with, 6 to 8 Banshees all at once, so kind of like an all-in mass Banshee. That's one of those things where if your stuff isn't already ready, they're just going to two-shot your queens, they're going to absolutely destroy these spore crawlers, and you won't have a hope, a prayer, of actually building your defenses in time. So, as far as food goes, it's actually surprising how close he's actually maintaining to me in the food count, and I think that's just because he built that army so early on. If we check this out, he has 1-0 for his upgrade. 1-0 for his upgrades, infantry level weapons 1 on the way. Nothing for these tanks. My Lings are about to become 2-2 with the crack upgrade, so that I jumped on that right away as soon as I got the hive, just because I knew that I wanted it, because I'm going a very Ling heavy army. So if we check this out, I like what he's doing right here, is he's moving up with this group of Marines. The tanks are back here, which I don't understand. I wish I would have known that. Aw, dick. That sucks. Killing a lot of Zerglings right there. Let's just bring up the units lost right now. Yeah, he killed almost 1,000 units in that 1,000 units worth of stuff. Things, as Darnock would say, in that little push. And I don't think he lost anything on his own, so that was definitely a very good bait and push. And I've also revealed my army tech. So one thing that I did not have when I attacked there was these harvesters. So now, not harvesters, infestors. So now that I have the infestors, I should not have an issue at all of being able to fungal this army. And this Ling is going to scare that poor little SCV. He tried, but now he's back. Right out of the Zelnaga, so he has decent map vision, and what he's actually going to do is he's going to use these Banshees, he's going to use scans to fly around and kill my creep, and cut off my map vision. So if we take a look at what I have plenty of Corruptors here, but I don't want to run them out in front of these Marines, I don't want them to get killed. And I know that his tanks are back there, I know his Marines are back there, and I know exactly what he'll do if I try to engage. Really, what I should be doing is actually coming around this back part right here, but I'm simply sitting here biding my time, maxing out my army. That's one advantage that I feel like I have, is I can max this army. I have a lot of money flowing in right now. I could use a few more harvesters realistically. Yes, I like to use the word realistically because it's a real word. get used to it. I could use to migrate some of those guys. And right here, is he going to get any of my infestors? Don't kill my infestors. No. Bad Terran. Ah, he was able to kill one of my infestors. Fungal growth's going down. You can see that I'm down a Corruptor right now because I was trying to morph in Broodlords. And don't kill any more of them, please. The Corruptor finally finishing them off. So I did lose one infestor. He lost all 3 of those Banshees. I won't say that they died heroes. I don't know if they did. So Broodlords are out, and realistically... Ah! I said it again. Haha! Now he absolutely has to move his army back. He knows that he is completely outmatched. And he's going to find that he is on 2 bases right now. He's putting up 2 more starports with 31 harvesters. I just don't get this, man. Why? Why not get more harvesters? You'd have so much more money. I think he's just strictly investing purely in army. We can see he has so many siege tanks. He's just going to sit here and he's going to turtle. But as long as I'm careful with my Broodlords, which I really would like to have a few more, I need to sacrifice about this much of my army to get... Basically, to free up supply. I do not have enough Broodlords, and I do not have the Corruptors to support them right now. I'm taking another base, because I'm fairly confident that I have pushed him back into his base. And I have been sending out scouting Zerglings every once in a while to check this out, and I'm very, very confused that he has not... Basically, that he hasn't created another base. I've scouted everything but here, because I've just assumed that he has this 3rd base up and running right now. 15 idle workers. Ah, that's me. I fail. Fail at life. So now that my Corruptors were able to give me vision on this, he has a lot of tanks. I'm just going to move in with my Broodlords. This Medevac, she is going to go down, providing just a momentary, brief iota of scouting. So, one little thing, I don't know if I want to reveal it. No, I don't want to show you guys. This is actually pretty exciting. You guys are just going to have to wait to see what happens here at this battle, because he has this big ball of Marines, and with the tanks here, if I have to move in to defend my Broodlords, I could find myself in a very bad position, and with the Vikings that he has, I could very easily lose a better part of my army, so I'm doing a considerable amount of work on these tanks, the Broodlords coming in, and right here, the Corruptors moving in to try to stop some of the Vikings, but the Marines just rafflecoptering everything, and there's still siege tanks in there. So I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to run in, but he's just doing a great job pulling back, and I'm going to run away with my entire Zerg army. And these Broodlords are just going to have to live to fight another day, maybe. That tank being killed by his comrades. So I was able to deal a lot of damage with that push, actually almost evening up the score at that particular point. If we take a look at what's coming here, though, this is what I didn't show you guys. Oh, wait, nope. Have I even put it down yet? No, I haven't done that yet. Wow. I really do fail at life. There, I thought I had something special, and I don't. Was that a different game? No, it was the same game. In a second or two, I'm going to pull a worker off of gas, and I'm actually going to build an Ultralisk Cavern, because I take a look at this, and I'm like, holy shit, I built too many Corruptors. I have so many Corruptors in the sky, because my original thought was, if you're going to build Vikings, fine, I'll build Corruptors. But with that much of a ground force, building Corruptors just really is not going to be a... I'm not going to be able to win with Air Zerg if he has air dominance with Vikings, because they can do such a good job at bringing them down. I'm finally getting my 3-3. He's getting his vehicle attack level 1 and his ground attack level 1. And the big decider in this game is going to be if I can put these Infestors and the Ultralisks to good use. This army is extremely Ultralisk vulnerable right now. Ultralisks just want to, like, chew the hell out of all these Marines. And we can see these Vikings moving out into the center of the map right here. This Queen, she just doesn't give a fuck. I'm trying to get my creep spread back up and running. We can see I've migrated a large amount of my drones. Going back to the income, 73 over 31. He has not built a single new SCV. And this has got to be on purpose. He has to have determined that he has enough money to fund his army, and that's all he's really concerned about. But he is not even at supply cap right now. Applecup, I just don't understand what you're doing, and I'm not sure why I haven't beaten you already. I think it's because I'm just playing so conservatively. I've lost a lot of games lately. Those Corruptors are going to go in there and tell me, wow, that sucks. So I'm going to move in with Zerglings and Banelings, but there's just so many tanks. This is not good. My army just incinerating. He's running everything. I don't even think I forced a stim. I forced one stim. And I was able to get a few tank kills, but all my Infestors are dying. All my Corruptors dead, and there's so many Marines out in the field now. That's not good, but there's only one Medevac, so they are all very low health. My creep is going down. And right now, this is the real test. Can I get the Banelings? And more importantly, can I get these Ultralisks out in the field? I have two lone Infestors. If I can get good Fungals on this army, I can absolutely destroy it in a split second. But if I don't, my Ultras just might not be enough. Now, their upgrades are going to be very, very good, and they do a decent job against Marines, but with all these tanks here, they can deal a substantial amount of damage to the Ultras, but I'm moving in. And these Ultras just eating everything, and the Fungals going down. These Marines were only at about 45 health, so after the Fungals are done, each Marine is only going to have about 10 health to his name. The tanks just melted to the Banelings and the Ultralisks. These guys, they just want to go num num num. 0 kills, 0 kills. You guys suck. You haven't even gotten any kills yet. I'll let you eat something first, and then we'll see what happens. So the army just melting. Oh my god, that is gross. So gross. 17 kills, 12 kills. Oh, wow. And I've got to think that my blue friend over here, Applecup, at this point, is just thinking, oh, fuck, that sucks. Because his entire army, that's one thing with StarCraft 2, is if you're caught with the wrong composition in the wrong place, your entire army is gone. I now have 9 Ultralisks out on the field. I have 1 or 2 Infestors, a bunch of Corruptors that are really not going to do me any good, Zerglings, and again, I'm max food at this point. So that's one thing, like, late game, your army just, it doesn't look that big until you realize that, hey, I've, like, got, like, 9 Ultras. So I'm moving over here because I intend to take his 4th base, and I'm expecting a planetary, and there's no planetary. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? We see that there's a planetary fortress coming up here, but these Cracklings are just, they're going to laugh at this base. It actually has to lift off, and these Corruptors are actually going to have something to kill for once. These Ultras are going to move in. There's just not much that he can do against this army at this point. There's a few Vikings out there, but that's not comprised the bulk of my army. So yes, I pulled a late game tech switch on him, and one thing that is very nice about this particular build that I like is, as you're getting upgrades for your Lings, going Infestor or Broodlord Ling means that you can switch over to Ultras very, very easily. This building takes 60 seconds to build. Ultras have a very fast build time. They have a lot of HP, and it's one of those things where if you notice that your Terran is going to go mass air, which I won't even call what he did mass air, I'd call just bad play on my part, you can easily tech transition into these, get a few Fungals down in that Marine army, and it's GG for them. There's just not much you can do, so I hope you guys enjoy this game. Looking back on it, this is a little bit more of a slow-paced game, and I don't want to say that Applecup didn't put up a good fight, but just, it's one of those things where you want to look back and you want to kind of ask, you know, what was the logic of having, you know, every single one of my gases being harvested, but not having any minerals? You know, how did I die with 1,000 minerals in my bank? And it's because he didn't have enough production facilities, and he didn't have enough production facilities because he didn't have enough troops, and he couldn't remax his army because he didn't have the money for it. So that's just one thing with StarCraft, where when in doubt, you know, just build an economy. And this Zergling, he's so cool. They're all jumping up in the air. They're like, hey, friend, let's play tag. But I hope you guys enjoyed the game. This is Malikicowtipper signing off.